Hey everybody, Stuart Matola here, stuartmatola.com, relationship coaching for the bold and brave at heart. Hey, so you've likely heard this topic today, but it's also likely you have and continue to catch yourself in this dynamic about which I'll speak. It's something couples get into all the time, and catching yourself is a real game changer. And a story I'm about to tell you demonstrates this. So, John and Susan zoom into me on video chat from South Carolina. John, I've been seeing as a client. He's a high-level executive with a steel company, and while he spends a lot of time at work, he's getting older. He's starting to look at the last 10, 20 years of his life, and he realizes his home life beckons, and he'll be having more and more time with his spouse. So he's really wanting to work on his relationship. And at times like this, when I've been working with a client like John, I'll have the partner come on the call just once in a while, just so that she can see the work that we're doing, and I can get a glimpse of what's going on the other side. But in this instance, John's feeling like he can't make his wife happy. Whatever he does, it doesn't seem to be enough. And she's been quite candid with him about how she feels he's checked out in their relationship. And in a moment, it comes out, and she says to him, flat out, "It's not me that's the problem, it's you. You didn't show up Tuesday, did you? Time and time again, you're not showing up." They had a dinner date at home. He sighs, he pulls away a couple of inches from her, and while still remaining in screen view, I can tell he's getting angry, almost embarrassed to be outed by his wife in front of me. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea, I imagine him thinking. But he does say, "I called. You knew I had an important last-minute meeting that came up that night. I would have been there if I could have." She rolls her eyes. Always work, always work. God forbid you can tell them you have a meeting at home that you cannot skip. God forbid." He pauses. "I don't want to do this anymore," he barks. "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" she says. And they're going at it. And he says, "It means I don't want to fight with you." "I'm not fighting with you. I'm merely stating the facts," Susan says. My instinct is to separate these two battling cats, and yet I let it play out a little bit more, to witness it, and also for them to have an experience of what they're doing to one another. The facts are, I called you," John says. "Listen, I don't want to fight like this, especially in front of Stuart." Susan says, "Well, he needs to see what's going on between us behind closed doors. Isn't that the whole point of this?" She looks at me for validation. I'm silent. They're silent. A moment passes, then another. Super awkward, painful, but a truth. And they're in a dynamic millions of couples act out daily. "Okay, time out," I say. "Can you both take a deep breath?" How does this feel? This style of interaction? "Like shit," Susan says. John concurs, nodding his head. I have them turn towards each other and look into each other's eyes. And this too is a truth, the reluctance with which they do it. And as they do, I know what I'm going to say, and knowing that with powerful questions and statements, I can break through their conflict bubble. So I say, both of you, right now, while looking at each other, I want you to ask yourself right here, right now, to consider this question I'm about to ask you. It's a question that I believe will determine your future. I pause, allow the impact of what I've said to land, and I say, what do you prefer? To be right, to win the argument, or to be loved and connected? Their faces are stone cold, no expression, two exasperated individuals. Look away from one another, then back, and away, then back. Suddenly Susan explodes. "Fuck, this is so hard and so necessary. Thank you. I've been a bitch, haven't I?" John looks at her and says, "Yeah." And I say, "Yeah, but Susan, no need to be that bitch to yourself right now." And this is a space where she can let go of self-judgment, because in truth, I say to her, you're only as hard on him as you are on yourself. Tears roll down her eyes. I say, "Susan, be in relationship with yourself for a moment. This is where the gift is. And you can bring it back to John. Be relational. And what he gives you, take it. His efforts, see it, nourish it." And I know John is trying, because he's demonstrated that in our weekly calls. So she looks up at him teary-eyed, and she's opening to connecting And the clinging to being right is dropping. Her sword's dropping. Her shield is dropping. And I want to say this is so hard to do in the moment because we just want to be right. But when we just let it go and get relational, as John and Susan did, their eyes reconvene, they get back into the soul of the relationship, just being connected, being relational, instead of just right. And this is a classic switch from the logical and fact-hungry left brain to the intuitive and feeling right brain. You can think of the left brain as the fighter, the right brain as the lover, and we're much more relational in our right brain. And to get there in the heat of conflict, you just ask this one question. Do I want to be right or do I want to be loved? And then you can ask it of your partner. Do you want to be right or do you want to be loved? And when taken into your heart, it immediately breaks through one's defenses, helps both partners to get off the battlefield and get back into each other's graces. John and Susan saw that, and they continued to use this simple question for years to come. So thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed this, please hit the subscribe button below. Add any comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. And as always, if you dig it, it's only fair to share. Share with someone who's struggling in their relationship. Share with someone who you think could benefit from this. And thank you so much for joining me, and have an amazing day. Bye.